residential space. We've been doing active outreach among black businesses and talking with them, and there's a significant making sure Earls is still in the community, not only making knowledge of the opportunity aware, but actually working with technical assistance and supporting the business development to be prepared to go into the new building. So hopefully we'll have all black-owned businesses in the space, and if not, the questions can be asked to us, can be asked to Capitol Hill Housing, and the residential aspect is going to take a strong marketing effort from the community itself to make sure that people are applying. I don't think even in the private sector you can specifically say this person can get it or that person can get it. There are some regulations related to that with the fair housing. We are advocating for preference policies with the city right now, given the so people that are connected with this community, our community that have been displaced, that suffered under redlining, disinvestment, under development systematically and systemically will be prioritized for the opportunities for the residents and commercial space as well. So as far as oversight, I think this is an oversight mechanism. We brought this, and set this platform so that the community can know what's going on and be able to ask these questions.
Pouring the same type of concrete that your people are paying. So it's kind of a slap in our face that we have people who live here who can perform that work and deserve those type of wages, and they're not getting those type of wages. And I don't care who you are, you cannot live off $15 an hour. You can't do it.
I will say that the subs are primarily local. Can I give you a list tonight? No.
I can get that though. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, we come in here and we say we're for the people, we're trying to support the community and we're trying to give them livable wages, but the paychecks don't match up.
Yeah, we are paying prevailing wage under state law.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, you had a question?
I want to know, you were saying about the black businesses that was pushed out of the area through redlining and stuff. It's a lot of them want to come back. And you said that you had some financing for them. They were on the impression that you had some money for them. So I want to know what kind of money would you be giving them? They would like to resume their business back in the area. Do you have startup money for them and stuff like that?
Part of the MOU included a seed funding for a small business innovation fund that we are working to grow into a larger business fund. And so we are currently talking with the Office of Economic Development. We just met with Central Area Collaborative, which you are a part of, regarding developing that fund into something that provides support for the businesses. Prior to that, though, the tenant improvement costs, which are often an obstacle for the businesses, we are going out to raise that money to provide tenant improvements to lower the cost of what will be on the backs of the businesses coming into the property. But for us, there's limited space at these businesses, and I don't think that our businesses should be limited strictly to our building. They should have access and be populating all of the commercial spaces that are coming onto the community, which are many, and we haven't seen that so far. And so now, through our processes, now we have other developers that are now committing to making those spaces available, and I think the community is going to be the force that makes sure that happens. So.
Well, you had just said that you were going to have like 90% of the occupied by, well, you said Afro, but I'm talking about black folks, black people.
Yeah, I'm black.
Yeah, Native. You had said you were another nationality, but I'm talking about black people like me.
Yeah.
I have mine, but I'm just saying some of the people in the area, they've called and talked to me and different.
Well, we want to talk to them. I mean, let's have a meeting. Let's get them to the table so that we can address those obstacles and move forward with a plan to have a maximum to maximize the black businesses in this community into the future.
Well, they've been pushed out. That's what I'm saying. They want to come back.
know we all have to work together. I think we're making a major effort to change the trajectory of what's been happening in this community, and so we work with other groups. You're the Central Area Chamber of Commerce. You advocate for businesses. It's going to take a lot of work because the trajectory has been going what it's been for the past 20 years. So now we have created an opportunity, another path forward, and we need more people to get involved in expanding that and securing that forward across, duplicating. One project, 2 buildings are not going to have us a Black Wall Street, right? So we have to continue to multiply this out and get other developers on board with this as well. We got Promenade 23 that's coming. So how are we going to get all of these businesses on board? I mean, all of these developers on board with this. The last question, and then we'll have Lake Union Partners come up.
So mine is a 3-part question. So the first one is, where's the waiting list for the home ownership component? My second question is, are there Black investors? This is a tax credit property, is that correct?
Both,
So
are you talking,
for
both of them will be.
Yes. So are there Black investors a part of the tax credit component? Or is it places like Enterprise who are typically the natural investors? And my third part question is, has there been a management company chosen, and or is there an RFP that's going to go out soon for people who are going to start doing the, I guess, the REA, so boil it down the language a little bit, the REA to get these units to make sure that they're in compliance with the tax credit paperwork aspect?
Okay, multiple questions.
So the first question, did everybody hear the questions? Okay, the first question is about
the wait list or the lines to start the home ownership process.
So this
for folks who want to be identified as homeowners in this process. And the second question is,
One at a time.
let me take that one.
Yes, you take
because
the home
Capitol Hill
ownership.
Housing does not do home ownership.
No, that's
so
not
this
it.
is Africatown driving the initiative to say we want home ownership in the community, not just rental apartments, you know, at a certain rate where people can't move up. They don't want to get more money because then their housing is jeopardized, right? So we're looking at how do we solve for the ecosystem of housing needs in our community at different stages of life. So we have been talking with Homestead Land Trust about that part because that's what they specialize in, affordable home ownership. I think the only way you can probably buy a house in the city for, you know, $250,000, I don't know any other way that can happen in the Central District right now, unless someone is just doing you a favor. So we are early in that stage. We're just now doing the feasibility analysis on how do these numbers work and get it done. And then the next stage will be around building lists for the opportunities. And this is not the only site that we're looking to do this at either. But people should make sure they're on sign in for one, because the information will continue to come out. So
part of the tax credit focus too is in the building. There is ownership of condos and space in that building that helps pay for it to continue to grow and maintain itself.
We just had a meeting today strategizing the ownership structures, what's possible, and then we are going to be taking that conversation to the city. The second question, so does that answer the question? The second question was about who are the investment partners, and I'll say one, and you can speak to Liberty Bank, and then I'll start a conversation about Mid-Town.
The investor, you mentioned Enterprise, and Enterprise is the investor in Liberty Bank Building. And who is the investors in the fund that Enterprise has brought to it? That's not always transparent to us. It's frequently a bank. And this market, Seattle is a strong market for banks investing, because there's a lot of money here, you might imagine.
And my third question is about the management component. Is there going to be an RFP, or is there a scheduled time for the RFP to go out for people to be able to help with the online process, because it's really linear in how the paperwork needs to be done and how people are actually qualified for the tax credit component?
With Liberty Bank Building, Capitol Hill Housing will do the rent up, and we're experienced in doing a rent-up. You want to, ideally, you want to rent all 115 units up in the 4 months before the place in service date. You want to have 115 households lined up, and you move them all in 1 month. And it's a big project. Our most recent one was 12th Avenue Arts, where we did the same thing with 88 units.
And Africatown will be out in front of that to make sure that our community is the first in line for these opportunities. So that means this community needs to spread the word. So we are reaching Kent and Federal Way and SeaTac and Renton, where people are being displaced to because of economics. So that pretty much.
One part of the question didn't get answered, and that was the compliance part with the RFP. Because the compliance.
Capitol Hill Housing.
For the compliance side, not just the rent-up, but the maintaining.
With the compliance, we'll do the compliance and the rent-up.
Okay.
And it'll be a contractual arrangement between this entity that's been formed to own Liberty Bank Building and Capitol Hill Housing. And if at some future point, Africatown is ready to take on property management, that's another story altogether.
And I don't want to be rude, my question didn't get answered. He asked, since that contractor's out of Oregon, you said this many women, this many people of color, how many of those people actually live here? Because Walsh, we understand what they do, they got their team set up there, the crews, they bring them up here to work all around. Can you give us those numbers of how many people of those stats you gave us actually live here?
I would think the majority. I mean, we're working with local Walsh employees, the super, the crew from Walsh is all here.
So you're not sure, because you think they would
Yeah,
do it.
no, this is something we can find out for you.
Thank you.
Jill, can you give your information and someone that they can contact for questions like this
Yeah.
so they can get?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that we're just about 5 minutes behind on, so we're making pretty good time. But we will get to Midtown site now, Lake Union Partners. So Pat and Patrick Foley, Joe Ferguson from Lake Union Partners will come up and talk about Midtown. So for those that don't know, we again, we're working on the Midtown for a number of years. The property was under contract with Lennar Multifamily previous to this deal, and at that time, we were able to negotiate the 20% of the site for our heritage-rich, inclusive development that keeps the black community here. That deal fell out of contract for whatever reasons, and at that time, we put in an offer to acquire the whole site from the family, the Bangasser family, and our offer was not accepted, and then Lake Union Partners put in an offer, and it was accepted, and our 20% solution that we had negotiated with Lennar family, they honored that, and we negotiated that purchase and sale, or the option to acquire it, and now we, like I said before, have performed on that acquisition, and so we have 20%, but they can speak to their work at the old Richland site, which is called East Union, and Midtown as well, and their commitments to the partnership, the MOU, and the values that we brought forth through Africatown.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having us. I'm Joe Ferguson, Patrick Foley. Appreciate the leadership of obviously King, Africatown, all the community builders we've been working with, and appreciate NAACP's involvement. And I'm extremely satisfied to see a packed room, because I want to basically reiterate what King is saying. We'll fast forward here for a second. When we talk about our commitment to black-owned business, specifically for the Midtown site, but also for the projects that we are currently working on, we want to make sure that we're collaborating with the community, we're collaborating with the city. I know Mikkel from OED is here today, and they've got some tools that we were just exploring earlier today with a local entrepreneur who we're hoping to get into our building in the Central. So our space is ready. We're hoping to engage, and we're really looking for word of mouth, because I think traditional retail leasing channels have proven to be difficult in getting the folks to the table and really understanding what we have to offer and how to be a part of this community. So a little bit of a call to action, I think, just to reiterate again how we can all work together on this. Maybe we can start, Pat, with update on East Union, and then we can show you some boards about what we're working on for Midtown at this early stage.
And what, if I could add to what Joe said about the memorandum of understanding, similar to what you have, White King, with at the Liberty Bank site, it's very similar to what we have. And so that, if anyone's interested in that, happy to share that with you. Either just reach out to White King or Joe or I, and we're happy to email it to you. So
Speak up, please.
speak up. Oh, I thought I was being loud. If anyone's interested in the MOU, the memorandum of understanding that we have with Africatown and Capitol Hill Housing, we are with Africatown. We're happy to share that with you. We'll email it to you. Just check with White King or Joe or I. So, this is the East Union project. I borrowed this from our architect, so ignore some of these wonky details down here. But this is the project that's under construction across the street. It is 146 apartments, and with 18,000 square feet of retail. This is the location where the New Seasons Market is going to go, and I know that they're going to be talking. Corinda is here from New Seasons to be speaking about their involvement in this project and what they're all about. And so this is where they'll be located. We're excited about this building. It's if I can share a little bit about the design and the aesthetic. This is a natural clear cedar with a grayish stain over it. We are really going after this sort of a driftwood look, and very large windows. They are two bedrooms, open ones, and studios, a good mix throughout the building. You can't see it on this side, but there's a fairly large courtyard on the other side facing the north. And so this project is expected, right now we're actually running a little bit ahead of schedule, about 2 weeks right now, which is fairly unusual in this market. So we're happy about that. So we're looking at a end of May, early June opening. And New Seasons is probably a few months behind us, so their tenant improvement work starts sometime this spring, and then I think they need 6-7 months to build the store out. So that's the East Union project. And also, so Joe and I have been working in this neighborhood for a number of years. We also have the Central project right next to us here to the north. That was developer Jim Mueller had gotten that project approved. We came along, and it was our first project in the neighborhood. We bought it from him when the economy failed, and or after it failed and was rebounding, we were able to buy it and complete the project, and that project is doing pretty good at this point, 92 units.
So is this high enough? Can people see? Maybe I can
Maybe we
hold
just
it
hold
up.
it. Why don't Joe and I just come up here? You guys all see this? Okay.
So this is about the level of architecture we're at currently, which is really just, obviously lines on paper. Donald King has been instrumental in guiding us specifically on where the aspirations for the neighborhood design guidelines are going, how we can incorporate those into this project, and advising Weinstein AU, who's our architect of record. We're also working with Berger Partnership Landscape Architect. Seller accepted our offer. We started immediately on trying to figure out how to imagine public access 24 hours a day to the middle of the property, which would allow for programming and events and community building around the heart and soul of what we think at this intersection. And so again, we're early, but we're hoping to incorporate some of the key activities, not just during the day, as you might see downtown in an office building open space, but also during the evening and specifically for events. You can see that we're looking for outdoor markets, we're looking for movies, we're looking for music, we want to celebrate culture. I can't stress enough how important it is for us to collaborate with every one of you and the network of influence that you have to make sure that we're accessing and leveraging as many of those assets that are already here in the neighborhood, and allowing this to really be the space if you're willing to celebrate that. So,
and the focus also, the commercial spaces along these courtyard, these are all commercial. In this court or square, whatever we end up calling it, is, you know, it's again 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no gates, it's lit up, it's active. I don't know that these businesses will be open 24 hours a day, but we're imagining many of them will be open late at night, late into the evening. But we want this to be this really wonderful square that everyone feels welcome to come to and use at any time.
these are more just inspirational imagery to give you a flavor of where we're hoping to get to, whether it be you know, the tree canopy within the central courtyard and some of the activities, the design ideas of just incorporating art and making sure that we've got it well lit, and that if we are providing some sort of weather protection, that there could be some additional art opportunities in that regard. And then obviously we want it to be open, family friendly, and we are obviously many of you are going to be familiar with the fountain and the foundation, and we've been working very closely with them on how to restore this. We've got a commitment from Pratt Fine Arts Center, that is, to help us restore that. And so we're going to take it off property, restore it, and then we're looking to figure out where that comes back on the property. But we want that to be interactive and something that, again, is an asset for the community.
Joe, could I add, can we go back to this one real quick? If I could say, so one of the most exciting things we think about this project is the level of affordability. We don't often get these opportunities to provide the amount that we also, the Africatown Plaza is 100% affordable. Viking, you're somewhere around, would you say 120 units right now? That's kind of where the zone that you're in.
How the home ownership.
Yeah, so let's just say for the
number of
okay.
family size units.
So at this stage, let's say 120 units, and then the portion that we'll be building out is somewhere around 420 to 425. So 100% affordable, we'll be at 20%. And so 26%, thank you. So across the full site, the full block will be almost 50% affordable housing. So that's over 250 units of affordable housing. So that's we're excited to be a part of that, and just it's a rare opportunity.
And I think to stress also, it's you know, really a laddered system. So instead of just, let's say, 30% of area median income or 50% of area median income, we've got basically 50, 60, 65, 75, 85, and market rate, if you will, which in today's climate is maybe around 120%. So you see that it's a mixed income, hopefully multi-generational. We see more folks, as we've talked about, wanting to be a part of what's happening in the community, and so I think the interesting thing is this is another example of the multifamily tax exemption at use. So the city has a good program where it incents developers basically to set aside levels of affordability, and we use that on every single one of our projects that we've built.
The two here plus the stencil project down the street.
Can you speak to the commitment of to the black businesses?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the,
yeah, I think
23rd Avenue prime location.
Yes. Yeah, I would. In some respects, I'm really just going to repeat what you've already said. The commitment we have is to go out to work very hard to go find really great, qualified, creative, interesting African American businesses to fill these spaces in here. And so with Viking's help, we've already started conversations with some very great people, and I can't announce who they are right now because it's still too early, but I can tell you we're working. Yeah, I know. I can tell you we're working at it, and excited.
Part of the program here, and I failed to mention, we have commercial, and commercial, and so the whole plaza that is open 24 hours is activated, and that's the goal. And so
Complementary use.
we failed if we haven't found a way to occupy those businesses with African American entrepreneurs, and we failed if we haven't found a way to activate that and truly leverage that as an asset. So part of the way that we intend to do so is offering higher tenant improvement allowances, which allows for the build out of the space. Charlene, you'd asked about how do we help these businesses achieve their vision and truly incubate. Beyond some of the programs that some of the community lenders have or that the Office of Economic Development has, we're looking to work through that tenant improvement allowance and deliver space potentially that's turnkey. We're also looking at small spaces, so whether they be 500 square feet, 1,000 square feet, we think those rents obviously are going to be more affordable than if you had to shop for 2,000 to 3,000 feet at a time. And in addition, the rent that we're charging is going to be below market. So what that is, I can't tell you today, but basically it comes with the business plan. If we're truly looking for local entrepreneurs who are just starting up, then we're looking to participate in that investment. And the way we can do a lot of this is because we are looking to secure a lease for an anchor tenant, which is a 12,000 square foot space. And at this time, it's scheduled to be a drugstore. And so with those economics, the drugstore comes in, they pay the rent, and it allows us basically to subsidize, if you will, the remaining space.
But what I was saying too is, Mike, where are you gonna have where you can, along a lot of these, we deal with micro businesses. Micro business is different from small business.
Yep.
Small businesses up here, I'm talking about micro business. A lot of the people there, they do their business out of the trunk of their car. You see what I'm saying? They go to Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
And they do their business. I'm talking about those type people that want to be independent, dependent on themselves.
Yeah.
They don't want to be dependent on
Right.
the world.
You bet. I mean, I mentioned a meeting we had earlier today. That's a project we've been working on now for almost a year with exactly that profile of entrepreneur.
Why also?
Have you seen the coffee shop right over here? It's called Squirrel Chops. Does everyone know about those guys? One second. There was a couple, no money, but we gave them a pretty decent tenant improvement allowance to build out their space, and we essentially looked the other way on their finances because they didn't really have the finances, and we've allowed them the opportunity to go in there at slightly below what I would say market rate rent, and they have thrived ever since they've been there. So those are the kinds of people. Those are the kinds of people.
Are they black owned?
No, 2 women own them. Yep.
That wasn't a question. Black owned.
No, they're not black. No.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
No, I understand.
I'm speaking for a black person.
I hear you.
See, I'm a black person.
I understand.
I'm speaking of that.
Right.
I have my own building, but
Right.
many of them that don't, and they call
Right.
me and they need help, and
Yep.
those are people that I'm trying to keep in the community because you're pushing them out, and these buildings and
Yeah.
stuff is pushing them out, and we know that they're gonna come and time is gonna change, but they need money.
Well, have them get in touch with us. I mean, Joe and I work hard to
Yeah,
help these entrepreneurs
so-
get into the buildings.
So my name is Fernando Mejia, and I'm with the Main Street Alliance, and we work with a lot of small businesses throughout the state. We have about 2,000 business owners that exist within the network. Yeah. So my name is Fernando. I'm with the Main Street Alliance, and we organize small businesses. And so one of the things that I keep hearing is that people continue to be concerned. And so, in fact, last week we had a team of organizers coming to the community and talking about this issue, and so we keep hearing that people are really concerned. And so, I had a couple questions. One of the questions is that I'm hearing that you talk to the community, and so if that's the case, can you tell us a little bit more about how you came to the decision of bringing new seasons into the community? Because it sounds like the community is actually really concerned about that. So that's one. And then the other one, if you really want to work with the small business community, we want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, those are my questions.
Sure.
Everybody in the back?
No.
The question was, or you can repeat it, Joe, Pat?
Sure, I'll repeat it. I think what I heard is Fernando has an organization that could be very helpful for our efforts as a Main Street Business Alliance. And the pointed question is, how did we decide on New Seasons as a tenant, and how was that decision reflective of our work in the community? Is that fair?
Mhm.
So I would say that we are the same way looking to anchor the Midtown project with a drugstore, understanding that we are looking for the best tenants in the market, best of class in their space. And when we looked at New Seasons, knowing that they're a B Corp, which essentially means that both socially and environmentally, they're held to rigorous standards every year to certify as a B Corp. And if you have not had a reason to learn about that, I suggest you research it. It's fairly compelling. Their benefits program, I know, is always a concern. UFCW is here to debate that with us as a community, and potentially debate that with folks from New Seasons who are here to answer more pointed questions. But what we saw is not only a community-minded grocery store, a community-minded business, but one who is committed to coming into this neighborhood and really being a part of the solution. And so if we disagree, we can talk further about that. But I think from our perspective, we felt very strong, and still do feel very strongly, that they uphold the principles that we're looking to build on in the community.
And the jobs, if there's approximately 100 jobs coming to this grocery store, and New Seasons other stores in Portland and here, we've seen a commitment that they make to hire from within a 2-mile radius of the store. So somewhere between 70–80% of their employees come from within a 2-mile radius of the store, and they've committed to us to honor that same effort in hiring from within the community. So, Gerald?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think his question was answered. That you
What did we
said,
miss?
okay, let me answer. That you said how you felt why you decided to go with New Season. But his question was, if he was really working with the community, what did the community have to say about New Season?
How did you come to that conclusion?
Yes.
Well,
No, I want to hear that answer, brother.
as a matter of event, if you will, we worked with the community throughout the permitting process and throughout the design.
Who was the
The
community?
neighborhood land use review committee, people that live within the neighborhood that came to those meetings, those were public meetings. So everyone was invited. Not everyone showed, but everyone
But
was
if you're not
invited.
integrity on the plate, are you inviting these people to the table? Or are you just doing something, and I'm not trying to be negative.
Sure.
Are you doing these meetings for show, or are you actually having leaders in the community who have a voice and a backbone to help the backbone of the people in this room and that room you were in stand up and talk to you guys and collectively bargain for the people who want what's right for their community? Because earlier you said, this is what we intend to do, this is our goal, and I'm offended, speaking for myself, because contractual language, intend, I try, shall, must, right? Is there any requirements in this language that protects the people here? Because all you got to do is say, we intend, sorry, we tried, that was the goal, we didn't reach it, sorry.
I think
Right?
one,
So,
yeah, one.
who did you involve at the table, not just in a room like this,
Sure.
at the table
Let me-
making the decisions?
Totally
Who-
appreciate
Who
that.
was that?
I would say, may I step back one, and I'll answer
Yes,
that.
sir.
Is that at the time, we were at the table with the 23rd Avenue Action Plan. We were at the table with Office of Economic Development in the formation of the collaborative. We were at the table when the Land Use Review Committee was brand new and they were trying to figure out how do we tackle land use issues. And so if you remember, when the Central was being built, there wasn't as much organization as there is today. And as a developer coming in to navigate that, frankly, it wasn't as clear. And I think we've been personally committed to being part of that, to help build that together. And today, for me, is an example of that incremental value, if you will, that we've been able to come together and actually have a voice, right?
We have Gabriel.
But I can,
Smoking mirrors.
one more thing.
No, I disagree. So first of all, let me first say, the Midtown deal hopefully is an example of our commitment to action, not just talk, right? So there was an opportunity for us to simply say, hey, we paid X for the property, we're gonna sell you 20% of X at the same number, the same ratio. Instead, we discounted the sale 20% to make this a reality, to make that actually happen.
But I think the part that you're
I
missing.
think there's two parts for this. The East Union is one thing, and our intro into Midtown is a different thing. So
But what he's asking, what he's saying, what we're looking for, he's talking about transformative. What you're talking about is transactional.
Amen.
Which is a big difference.
Amen.
So what he's actually saying is that, man, you're doing a horrible job explaining it because everybody you just named. Let me frame this. How many people are people that's from this communities of color, and all those three organizations you just described?
Well, I would say the 23rd Avenue Action Plan. I mean, there's a lot of familiar faces from that effort.
Who? I'll be familiar to who?
It was a city-run organization for community outreach.
For the financial gain on that end.
But the white folks.
So we blame the city.
No, we're not blaming the city. We're blaming
Gabriel
Brawl, I'm the president of the Seattle chapter of the A.F.L. Rondo. I'm also vice president of ILW Local 52, executive co-chair of the African American Lounge Association. Now, I'm trying to get where you are. I mean, you did a presentation, you showed some beautiful pictures, but I still don't get where you are, because we're talking about building affordable housing. Now, all those affordable housing goes with new season, which is high-end grocery store. I mean, explain me that, because it doesn't fit in with the community. You're talking about, I mean, we build our field, if people would have to travel to go shopping because they can't afford to shop in there. I mean, who was the people at the table, and who are we, new season is catering for, because it shows not catering for the low income.
Not at all.
So
new season, I mean, they got that's
they'll have their opportunity to
New
answer the
season
questions
is
about
next.
pricing. We
I
don't.
want to know why decision, or did they come to that decision to choose new season?
Well, so I'll just say, and maybe UFCW can highlight this as well.
What? Now, when you keep talking about UCW, you talk about, yeah.
No, it's
Stop
relevant.
doing
It's
that, man.
relevant.
Don't do that.
I'm answering. I'm just
Don't
saying.
pass it to someone else.
Yeah.
You know, being part of a union, I understand the meaning of MOU, and I know that you can always have an MOU, but sometimes you have to arbitrate and fight to enforce that MOU.
Sure.
Right? So I don't want that people being, I mean, this is something that is a sales pitch to make this go through, and later on, people being pushed out, be kicked out. So there's some kind of security for those low income or people or units also that's going to be able to make sure those people are stable there, and not later on after every project is done, there's a way to push them out, just like black businesses. I've seen, I mean, being part of the A.F.L. Rondo, we are about to represent a lot of black business in this vicinity that has been targeted by city agencies, law enforcement, and they created ways to kick them out or get them out of the neighborhood due to gentrification. So this is something that we are watching, and we want to make sure that we don't fall into that same.
They say make sure the commitments are fulfilled.
Have a teeth to the contract. Have a teeth to the contract. Have teeth to the contract. You guys tell us what we want to hear right now, and walk away after the project is done and say, we tried, because there's no language in there right now from what you just told us, because you used the word intent and our goal several times. So if there's no teeth to this, you can tell us what you want us to hear, but we're not gonna fall for that.
We're like 30 minutes behind right
That's
now.
okay.
But I'm just saying, you want to hear
30
from
years
UFCW
behind.
had their time, we have new seasons, right?
So
And,
we had a price point question, and the only reason, the only reason I brought up the transaction versus transformation is that I felt like you were questioning our character and commitment to the deal. And all I'm saying is transactionally, you've already seen proof that we're committed to that deal, and we assigned a 20% discount to get that done.